told Mr. President that without prejudice to whatever will be the decision of the party, which we shall all abide by, that if the party throws the ticket open or the zone to southern part of Nigeria, that I believe that with what I put in place in the past 6 years plus, that I will be running for presidency on the platform of APC. So I told him, and of course, he believes that whoever that wants to run for president of this country must have to consult widely and go to all the leaders, and that we must do everything to remove ethnicity and our religion in our polity so that this country can grow. Let me also add that as the chairman of Southeast Governors Forum, that I support a political solution to our insecurity problems in the Southeast. And of course, I mentioned it to Mr. President. And so I believe strongly that Southeast, that proposing for political solutions should be able to engage the federal government. After all, there's always what is called out of court settlement. But it's for, our people and, our brother Kanu to be willing, for us to truly engage so that we can find true peace in our region. Because the activities there, have destroyed a lot of the economy of Southeast. A lot of lives have been lost. And when we were shouting it that it wasn't going to benefit, because agitation shouldn't have gone that, way it did. Today, the matter has gone beyond them.
I do not see Tinubu's aspiration having any effect on the president of Nigeria coming from Igbo area. It has no effect because we are talking base of what Nigeria should be. We are talking base of what people should believe. Obasanjo has been president for 8 years. Osinbajo is doing 8 years as vice president. And no Igbo man since independence has been democratically elected president. So it's always good to think of what is reasonable and what will be more sellable. That thing is almost like dead on arrival because it's not going to work. I'm the most prepared presidential candidate in Nigeria, anywhere. I'm capable health-wise, I'm capable as a person, I'm capable in my pocket, I'm capable to face anybody. But the party is supreme. I only wait for APC as a party. It's not taking anybody. I'm used to Roforosu fight. It's a fight which anybody can do. You see, for me, contesting for president is not the issue. The issue is who is going to lead the country into economic miracle. Who is going to lead the country into turning around. I'm not against Tinubu. If it's not his area and the party says he should go, well, the party is supreme because I'm only waiting for the party.
Well, Mr. Essien Victor joins us. He has been a member of several committees, Congress committees within the APC. He's a legal practitioner as well. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on the program today. Well,
good morning.
Yeah, I mean, as it is at the moment, just development just happening quick and fast within your party. Different headlines as well, just giving indications as to, well, when they say may your road be rocky, this may just be one of those examples. Well, yes, you've been in those committees, certain things have been eventually resolved in certain ways, but this particular one, when people say it's peculiar and could be very, very tricky, could make or mar, do you agree with them?
Well, first of all, I'd like to just correct. My name is Essien Vincent, not Victor. So thank you, Chamberlain. We are in a peculiar situation within our party, and it's to be expected because we're the ruling party. Stakes are high, and There are a lot of political gladiators. And so this is, I'll just say, it's part of the normal things that you'd expect in a political environment, in the ruling party, and where there are a lot of interest, competing interests. So I really don't think that it's something that was not expected. It's something that was expected. So I believe that the party has the capacity, the inbuilt capacity to handle this. And we have the leadership to resolve, to place all these competing interests and ensure that the interest of the party overrides. And we are a party that are committed to delivering good leadership. And so far, we've done that in the term that we've been in power. So I think we will continue to do this. So I'm confident that we'll resolve the issues that will arise from the competing interests that we're seeing play out now.
But yeah, I mean, there's none of your members that we've spoken to that haven't expressed the same kind of confidence in resolving these kind of matters. But they were equally confident before they went into different state congresses, and some of them ended up not even holding because different groups and different factions just held their ground, never wanted to shift grounds, and we saw the way that turned out. So this optimism, as optimistic as you are, don't you think there's a little bit papering over cracks, as it were?
No, it's not. It's not. Chamberlain, it's not. We have 36 states, and we've had congresses in 34 states with the FCT. So, I mean, I guess just 2 states didn't have the congresses. That's Zamfara and Anambra. And you realize that you also have to understand that besides the political interest, we had peculiar security situations in those 2 states. So I think with regards to different competing groups and so-called parallel congresses, it's something that we really have to understand because as far as I'm concerned, we've had congresses in 34 states and the FCT. So we've managed obviously, like I said, in any ruling party, the stakes are usually higher. And this is what we expect to play out in a party like the APC. But I think, and I'm confident that we have the capacity to resolve this crisis. We have a reconciliation committee headed by Senator Adamu, and they're doing the work. They've gone around. They're going to submit their report. And I'm sure that most of these crises would have been addressed, and where we need to make some modifications or the party needs to ensure that some additional processes are put in place, I think that will be done. We have the capacity, we have leadership to do this.
Well, doing the right thing, not just getting it done, but doing it timeously will perhaps be an issue as well. Because if you reference what the Director General of the Progressive Governors Forum, Salihu Mo Lukman, said when he delivered a lecture yesterday, he said that if APC does not do what it needs to do, the courts may run the affairs of the party. And I listed a number of key offices of the party that should be critically assessed in order to get the right people to fit into those things. But so on the one hand, we have the issue of stakeholders. On the other hand, we have what you call interests. Those things sometimes conflict.
Basically, I think what the Director General of the Progressive Governors Forum has been insisting on is that we should have the convention, and I think that's going to happen. Everything points to the fact that the CEPC, which is the Convention Planning Committee, has already declared that. I mean, Governor Buni, Maimela Buni, has said that the convention is holding, and all the arrangements were that the convention will hold in February. I think that by the time we have the convention, most of the problems that we think are looking so unsurmountable will be addressed. That's why I think I agree with him that we need to move to that convention. And the president has already given that indication that that's going to happen. The leader of the party as well spoke recently. So I think that once we get to the convention, most of those things will be addressed. Don't forget that the convention is actually, by the party constitution, that's the highest organ of the party. So I agree with those who say that we should have that convention.
Don't you think some things should actually be addressed before that convention happens? Because there are those who are wondering, wait a minute, there are some decisions that usually precede such critical, projects as the convention. Approaching the convention with such rocky issues going on, I think that's perhaps one of the reasons the president himself said recently that if the APC does not get its house in order, it's leaving an opening for the opposition to come in. So in approaching that family meeting of a convention, didn't you see a need for the critical stakeholders to have certain conversations among themselves and go into that meeting with a united voice as opposed to going in as rocky as it is now?
Yeah, those meetings are going on. The governors met on Sunday. Those are critical stakeholders of the party. There can't be anybody more critical than the governors. And some of these things, you won't hear the outcome of some of these deliberations. I think a lot of strategic meetings are going on right now. And it doesn't have to be on the pages of the newspapers. Some of these things are delicate and intricate. Like you say, a lot of interests are involved. So these meetings are already ongoing. I know about that. And the outcome, and since we all have the interest of the party at heart, then we have to ensure that these negotiations are managed and all the interests are traded off. That's going on. But I still think that where we've come to the point that whatever happens, we need to have the convention, and everything's not going to be resolved anyway. There are some issues that we'll carry there. And whatever happens, let's have the outcome, because pushing this forward, kicking the can down the road all the time is not going to solve it. So I think that we need to do the best we can to resolve. Already, like I said, the reconciliation committee is out there. We expect that they'll turn in their report, the work that they've done. We should see the outcome of that. And then let's just fix a date and address these issues. That's what I'm concerned about. Because I think that once we have the convention coming to and place whatever, because that's an organ that has the final say really in the party. Once that is whatever we do right now, whatever intricate negotiations are going on, there's a stamp that comes with that. Then we can start to build, and all these crises and trade-offs will continue even after that. Politics is a never-ending game. It's going to go on. So I think that we've come to the point that everything should be on the table, and we should fix a time and a cutoff point or limit. I think that's what actually the president was trying to say, that we should put our acts together, and that's been done. I'm confident.
Putting those issues on the table presupposes that table is one that is standing on all its four legs, strong and, very well placed. And you know that if those issues are not sorted, then that table will either wobble or just collapse altogether. Your party is racing against time to ensure that this convention is conducted and, of course, build up to the 2023 elections. But just to be clear, you talked about those parallel congresses, those crises, and the rest. And you said it's an issue that you have to understand. Those were your words. So I just want to know, the meetings that are going on right now, how well have you been able to identify what is at play here? Because lots of states, Kano, Ogun, Kwara, Osun, Enugu, and I can go on, still have those parallel arrangements. So what exactly is the issue at play here? Because if you don't identify it, on the one hand, you can't proffer a solution and you can't move forward. So have you been able to identify what's at play here across those states?
When you say parallel, you have to be careful, because like I always keep saying that whenever all the congresses as ordered by the organs of the party, which is, for instance, the CPC. And usually, congresses of parties have to be monitored by INEC. And so when they say parallel, I say, did INEC go to two congresses? So clearly, INEC went to one congress. But however, like I said, there are other competing interests that feel that the Congress that held didn't take care of their interests, and that's what the reconciliation committee is doing. In the case of Kanu, it's peculiar because we have a court judgment. And so once the court rules that this is the executive that must be recognized, and that's what it is. But
all right, we'll try to get Mr. St. Vincent back. It was hitting the point, actually, especially because we need to understand which of those states have actually been decided properly, either by the courts or by the party, such that we know which of the state congresses was actually the legal one. But this conversation is even bigger.
And don't forget, because before the convention, all of these persons had not gone to tell the president they were going to run if they had had the convention earlier. But now, if it's going to hold in February, and then these declarations have happened, and it may not be the last that we're hearing. So what happens? How are they going to manage and juggle all of these things? I guess let's head to Abuja and see if we could get some answers. Mark?
Indeed, Chamberlain, we do have with us Ismail Ahmed, who is a national youth leader of the All Progressives Congress. You're welcome to Abuja studios.
Thank you. Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year. It's very easy to forget that we're in a new year. I mean, it's starting with a big bang, and it would seem that the politicians are already running, as it were. You heard some of the questions raised by my colleagues already. You've seen that happening in the polity within the last few, let's say, 48 hours, and the reactions we've seen following the intention of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, let's say, declaration or intention to run for president. But that visit to the president was highly significant, and it seems to be causing rumbles within your party. Can you tell us how it has been received? You're a member of the caretaker committee, and you're also national youth leader. How has it been received from the places where you wield influence?
Well, the party does not sit down and discuss aspirations of candidates at this point in time. What we are focused on is on the forthcoming convention of the party. And, individual members of the party can decide to express their interest, either by telling the president or any other person within the party cycle. But there has not been any official communication to the party that there is a significant interest by any of the individuals, so it's not something that the party sits down and discuss it. But of course, this most of the none of this is really a surprise, because a lot of people have been talking about most of these individuals coming out to express their aspirations one way or another, so it's not much of a surprise.
It is true. I mean, you've spoken from the party perspective now, but you must acknowledge that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is no ordinary individual within your party.
No, absolutely not.
Within your party, he's called the national leader. So what happens when the national leader says he wants to run for president?
Like I said, it's not a surprise. It's not something that surprises me in particular. I don't know about other people, but he is, like I said, it's not, as a party we are focused on the forthcoming national convention. He and any other person who is a bona fide member of the party has the right to express their interest and aspirations. What he just said, from what I have seen on TV, is that he has informed the president of his intention to run, and he's consulting again. And I think Governor Ebonyi did the same thing yesterday, and I think another person I was told, I don't know who that was. But yeah, so you're right. Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, one of the leading members of this party, founding father of this party, great contributor in many ways to where we are today. So yeah, I guess it's a big deal to a lot of people.
Not you.
No, certainly with me as well. It's a big deal. He's a major pillar in this party.
Does that affect how the preparations for the convention will now go?
I don't think so. It has nothing to do with that. This is aspiration. We'll still do our work of preparing for the convention. It has nothing to do with that.
But so far, so good. A lot of people see problems ahead. As a result of his declaration, we saw the immediate visit of the governor of Ebonyi State. There are those who have also said, no, this is going to throw up issues about zoning, even though your party doesn't exactly have anything cast in stone with regards to zoning. But it looks like there is a certain expectation that, rotation will be adhered to. The southeastern flank of your party has been saying that it should come to the southeast. And not just within your party, even nationally. The PDP too is also looking at that. They're looking at the north, they're looking at the southeast. I do not know how this is going to affect how it is that you zone, because I imagine that that would also come to play even though nothing is cast in stone.
Like I said, as a party leader, I'm just focused on the convention. At some point, I think the party will decide where it wants to zone certain offices, but that would be a decision of the leadership and the stakeholders of the party in its entirety. It's not one person cannot sit down, one organ cannot sit down and decide that, hey, we are going to go this way. But of course, there's a general belief within the party structure or within the rank and file of the party that, for example, the presidency should go to the south. It has been in the north for 8 years. It's a general belief that that should happen, which I personally subscribe to, by the way.
Do you think that will happen then?
I don't know. I don't know yet, but the leaders will sit down at the appropriate time and take the decision that is appropriate and the best decision for the party and the country.
Well, there's talk around how it's going to be very difficult now to put a convention together. Are you experiencing any difficulty?
No, absolutely not.
Bear in mind that, your party moved the convention from December was the time it was said to, there were talks that it was going to hold in December. Mm-hmm. It didn't happen. And now we understand that February, which is a new month picked, is also not certain as well.
Well, who said that?
You haven't seen stories to that effect?
No, but I'm saying these are just rumors. We're going to have our convention next month, God willing.
How set are you? How prepared are you?
We are prepared.
What storms do you foresee?
Well, the normal hiccups of a transition of a transition convention. Nothing more than that. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Are you
just a lot of people with a lot of aspirations who either aspiring for offices in the party, offices in during the elections, not sure what is going to happen. How are they going to make sure that they get the structure? That's a lot of mentality. People have a lot of mentality with structures. Just basic things that happen in every political party, but nothing out of the ordinary that we cannot do.
Well, it does look like it's going to be very intense in your party if the billboards we see around Abuja are anything to go by. So far, so good. We've seen a few contenders take up billboards here at strategic points within the city. I'm sure you cannot say you haven't seen them.
No, but that's fun. We love it. That's advertising the party. That shows you that the party is vibrant, that a lot of people want to be part of the leadership of the party. It makes us happy.
How do you intend to manage these ambitions?
Well, it's not our job to manage ambitions of people. Our job is to provide a level playing field for people to contest and be able to realize their aspirations. And then it's for the party members to decide who they want, to represent them at certain political offices. That's it. And that's the beauty of democracy. It is not for us to say that we're going to manage individual ambitions for people. That's not our job.
Will every office be contested for?
I don't know yet. I don't know. You talked about billboards in parts of Abuja of people who are running for chairman. I've seen them. I haven't seen those of other positions yet, but I'm sure there will be people who are interested in other positions, and they will show their aspirations when the time is right.
I ask that because, as you have also agreed to seeing them, there's now talk around getting a consensus candidate.
Why not? It's also part of the Constitution. Why not?
And
why not?
That's why I asked.
It makes it less, less contentious in the convention floor.
And that's
So,
why,
of course, naturally, leaders of the party would like to, gravitate towards consensus, some sort of. Yeah, so why not? If consensus is the way out, fine. But consensus is only when everybody agrees. When there is a dissenting voice, then he has the right to go and show his aspiration on the floor of the convention. There's nothing wrong with that.
there are those who predict, and I think that they have good reason to, that a lot of these cases could end up in court. Do you fear that?
We will try as much as possible to rein in bona fide members of the party, not to take certain cases to court. You see, you can never be able to predict what people would do, if certain things do not go their way, or if they perceive that certain things are not going their way. But, the neck of the party is going to sit down, it's going to have a meeting, it's going to clear out, set out the rules and guidelines for this convention. And I do not foresee the kinds of problems that a lot of people are talking about. God willing, we're going to have a very smooth convention, and then we'll get over it.
Well, he's certainly very optimistic, as politicians usually are, but we'll take a break now, and we'll come back and find out just how strong that optimism is in the face of the challenges that could be coming forth. In just a moment, please stay with us. Ismail Ahmed, National Youth Leader of the All Progressives Congress and also member of the Caretaker Committee of the All Progressives Congress, is still here with us in our studio, and I'm sure that my colleagues are now standing by with their questions. Gentlemen.
Yeah, Ismail, morning and happy new year to you as well. You talked about other people interested in different positions. What about you? Are you vying for anyone?
I'm not allowed by law to say anything. I'm still a member of the Caretaker Committee, and for now I cannot express any interest.
Okay, we'll talk in camera about that one, not later.
All right, and just to clear this one out, I recall you had an interview with my colleague, Shenwa Kimbaloyi, on Politics Today. That was in October last year. And, I mean, it was about the convention and a lot of other issues within your party. And you were asked if the convention will hold before the end of the year. That was last year, 2021. And you said, absolutely. In fact, you said that twice. So you probably understand why a lot of people are skeptical about the coming convention, saying that, I mean, from you had said that will hold last year before the end of the year. The year ended, it didn't hold. Now there's a date for February. But if you could just tell us what changed, what happened between the point where you said absolutely and the point when it didn't happen.
Well, I think last year, December, there was a lot of, there was no, I said that, I made that statement. There was no public statement from the party at that time that it was going to hold in December. But I knew that internally in the party we had agreed that it was going to hold in December. And then at that, I think at the meeting of the governors, the issues of having it on the 18th of December came up, and a lot of governors, especially from the southern part of the country, talked about the non-availability of a lot of party members from the southern or from the Christian faith, who take a lot of, from the 15th of December was more or less like a holiday season for them. It was the festive period. People had to travel, there was a lot of back and forth, and then I think it was stepped down. And then it was agreed that January was looked into, and January was also a year that, was also a month that halfway through was still going to be a lot of holidays, and then we have, the Ekiti primaries coming up later this month, and then February was agreed on, and then the recommendation was taken to the president, which you all know that he came up. So yeah, I was absolutely sure in October that we're going to have it in December, but of course, this is politics, is dynamic. But right now, I'm pretty confident that it will happen next month. The preparations have begun. In our last year's last meeting we had last year, We had agreed to put some structures in place. We have set up the finance committee to come up with the budget for the convention, and the subcommittees would also be set up. We are waiting for the reports of the reconciliation committee that have gone out, led by Senator Abdullah Adamu. So a lot of things have been put in place. So I'm pretty confident that we'll hold our convention this time.
In February, I just hope maybe Valentine's will not come and
yes,
be a reason. Okay, so I'm hoping that, I mean, when you reference some of those events, I hope Valentine's will not come and you say, okay, you know what, people will be busy with their spouses and all, so maybe we should move it.
Valentine is not a national holiday. It might be a holiday to you because you are young, but it's not a national holiday. Christmas is certainly yes.
Shots fired. Well, it's for lovers, essentially, so I imagine you're one, but let me take this to my colleague, Ayo, to continue the conversation.
Well, I guess that's one of the issues that's given a number of people concern. So, Mr. Essien, looking forward to this convention and hoping, as Kade said, Valentine doesn't come to truncate it. What are the issues that you consider critical that the convention has to address? Otherwise, it jeopardizes the chances of the APC.
Basically, the convention will do, and Barrister Ismail Ahmed is also a member of the convention, the caretaker committee, and so I mean that's an authority. So the convention will basically put a crystal on all the work that's been done at various levels. Don't forget that the caretaker committee was set up was given its powers by NEC, and like he said, we anticipate that the National Executive Committee will meet to probably call its convention. That's, I think, the route that will happen, because the caretaker committee has basically done a very great job, and it was basically its key function was to plan the convention. Now, once that is done, it's probably, I think it should revert to NEC, and then NEC will now basically call the convention. So I think that's what Barrister Ismail said. And once that is done, as the highest organ of the party, I think we will be able to say that all the resolutions that have been formulated so far, all the negotiations, all the trade-offs will be crystallized, and then the party will be able to move from that point to preparing for the next step, which is getting ready for probably the next elections. So I think all the work that's gone down will get it crystallized at the convention.
Interesting days to come. Essien Vincent, a legal practitioner, a member of the APC, thank you so much for your time and thoughts this morning. Yeah. Well, Mr. Med, you are a member of the BOT, and definitely a lot of work, as Mr. Essien has said, has gone into getting ready for this time around, for this convention this time around. And all things being equal, at the end of the day, every political party is about people, its members, and the nation they want to govern. For you, what are the issues critical for members of the APC that will attend the convention have to bear in mind? I'm saying that because at the end, you know, many times we talk about these conventions and it's always about interests of people and all of that. Not forgetting the fact that at the end of the day, the job of the convention is to pilot the affairs of the party, being the one in the ruling, being the one governing the nation at the moment for the interest of 200 million Nigerians. So for you, what are those critical issues that members of the party coming for the convention must bear in mind?
Well, I think it's pretty simple. First of all, we have done some sort of constitutional amendment to our constitution, to the party's constitution, which is also going to be laid out in this convention. By the constitution of the party, we need to, advertise the amendments 14 days to the convention in some of the national dailies so that people could raise some observations or whatever it is that they have. So I think the ground norm of the party itself, which is the constitution, is one of the critical aspects of this convention. And I think members must be aware that there are serious and far-reaching improvements in terms of the constitution of the party that has given the party life, as far as I'm concerned, to make it an institution rather than just a platform for people to join and run for political offices whenever they need be. I think it is more of an institution, a policy hub, an institute, of complementing government in terms of policies and implementation, both in formulation and implementation of policies. And I think that is very important for delegates that are coming to the convention to be aware of that, to know the responsibility that they have. It's not just about electing national officers, but it's also about amendment of the Constitution and what those amendments entail and what they mean. That's on the one hand. On the second hand, another critical issue is the management of the party itself, or what a party should be and how it should be managed. I think the APC has been lucky in the sense that it has always been known to be a progressive left-center party, a party for the people. Now we are approaching a transitional election where for our first president will be exiting office in a couple of in a year and a month and some months. And not only is he just a president, but he is probably the most popular politician since the re-advent of democracy, and who has contributed more than 50 to 60% of the voting bloc that gave us victory in 2015 as an individual. Now, if you are transitioning away from that kind of individual, I think the management of the party becomes even more critical, even more important, that you have people who are managing the affairs of the party, who understand the situation we're in, who understand that the party needs to be made attractive to younger people, to newer people, to be able to come in and participate and be part of this process. And that can only happen when we have very effective managers of the party who understand what we're doing. So my hope is that the delegates and members of the party who are going to come to this convention or who are going to be watching from home realize how important, the leadership of the party will be in this transition election, how important the management of the party would be, and how important all the rules and guidelines and ultimately the constitution of the party is. And everybody should focus on that, and we should give it all the necessary attention to get the best out of it.
You raised that concern as well in another fora, and you said, look, the party needs to understand that we don't have 10 million votes or over 10 million votes that will come to us again. And as such, the party needs to get their acts right. So from what you've seen now, heading into the convention and all the politicking going on around, have you seen any sign to encourage you as though they seem to have gotten the message that you have seen, asking that, look, we all need to pull together to ensure that the party doesn't lose it? Are you encouraged by anything whatsoever?
Yes, I'll tell you I'm encouraged by especially the registration we had in 2021. We had more people than we registered in 2013. And there was a lot of enthusiasm and excitement from the base of the party in joining the party. So I have seen that kind of gave me an encouragement. But I wanted the party, and I think they're listening, I think because I've spoken to leaders of the party at various levels, and to see that, look, we need to have, the party really needs to have an attractive face now, especially, like I mentioned, and like you rightly pointed out, that we are going to be transitioning away from a very popular president, within the party folk. We need to have, something that really attracts people, that will come to the party for the party's sake, not now again relying on individual popularity as was the case in 2015. We relied a lot on some of our leaders, our individuals leaders' popularity and their coattails to be able to get to where we are. But now the party have to transform itself into the behemoth that it now needs to attract its own people based on its own character. And I think the leadership is listening. The registration of the party in early 2021 gave me an encouragement, but the convention, I think, will deliver a lot more encouragement to a lot of younger people who would feel that, okay, we're looking at it from where we are, we can see that this party is open, really, for people like us to get in. It's not, there are no owners somewhere that would decide our fate regardless of our contribution.
I mean, let's talk about that popularity which you've referenced. And you said that, I mean, the president brought on board, large voting bloc. He said about 50 or 60%, really. And then the party perhaps had to pull together to augment the rest. And I recall that in the build-up to the 2015 general election, you were right here in the studio in Lagos. And you talked about some of the things that you were not happy with that administration, the PDP administration. And one of the things you mentioned was, the dollar rate. You said that it's 230, 250 today, when at the point that the government took power, it was 119. And this was March 2015. So that voting bloc that you have, that popularity, based on now the performance of this administration in power, I mean, you know what the dollar is right now, over 500. That's more than 300 what it was at that point. Do you still think that those people, those, 10 million, 14 million people, will still be lining up behind your party based on the performance?
Yes, I think so. I think more numbers would come. And let me tell you the reason, some of this, so that we don't have false equivalency of comparison, right? When we talked about this in March 2015, how much was the barrel of crude oil going, in the international market? $100, $150, $140. What's an average of $120 to $140? So we had a lot of money coming in, and there were like 2 million barrels a day of production in Nigeria. When we came in 2015, by November or thereabout, or December, it nosedived to about $38. At some point, the production cost of barrel of crude was about $20, and we're selling it for what, $21, $25 to $30. So making a net profit of about $10. So of course. And then we have infrastructural deficit, and you have seen, and I'm sure you do your investigations very well. What was the what do you call it? What was the budget for infrastructure? Say, for example, in 2015, under the PDP administration. It was what, 18 billion naira? When we came in, we started giving about 60 to 100 to 100 plus billion naira. And our hardworking minister, Governor Fashola, Minister of Works and Housing, gives all this presentation whenever he is given an opportunity to speak about it. So we have seen how much we needed to be able to make up for the deficit in infrastructure and how much money we were making when we came in. Unlucky as we were, but we had to deal with that because Nigerians were not going to listen to us about that. So something's got to give. It's either we keep subsidizing the dollar, to keep it at the rate that makes importers and people who spend the dollar and comfortable, or we could actually channel our monies into infrastructural development, social investment programs, taking it to the bottom of the pyramid. So I'm not going to sit down here and tell you that we can sing Kumbaya, that everything is all right, that that we've not had challenges in government. But I think when it is time for debate, to discern, not emotional headlines, to actually discern and take down these points bit by bit and break it down, I think we'll still have a winning argument, and we'll have a reason to go back to the people and say, hey, I know we are not where we want to be, but we are not where we used to be. In terms of what we have gotten when we got into office, and what we have been able to achieve in terms of the physical infrastructure that you can see and the social investment that we've been able to get into the hands of people. And I think people will be able to make that judgment ultimately.
Right. Clearly, we're not where we used to be, and I said that much. 230, 250 to $1 at that time. Now it's over 500. You also talked about,
but I give you my
security.
I give you my.
So I'm just giving you the facts. Just a moment. So you talked about security then, saying people are dying. Just a look at the random headlines this morning. You see bandits kill 3, abduct 13, set ablaze tent in Kaduna, bandits herdsmen on rampage in Kaduna, Ondo, Plateau, kill 9, abduct 12. So that's regarding the security you talked about then. And yet again, I ask, the people which you say were behind you then, seeing this reality, are you really confident that they will want to vote you in again, seeing your antecedents in office?
Well, you keep making this argument as if our antecedents. Now, look, security makes me emotional, and especially because now I don't want compartmentalizing this country, because now I'm from the Northwest. And I guess we are worse hit right now in terms of the security situation right now in the country. But I do know for a fact that the security agencies and the government in particular are doing all it can to make sure that we turn the tide. Security has greatly improved in the Northeast. It has reared its head, very unfortunately, in some parts of the Northwest and the North Central, and it's some sort of a new phenomena, different from the insurgency we fought in the Northeast, that we have degraded to a level where people from Borno or Adamawa or Yobe would be telling you different stories right now, and so I understand the headlines, are bad, especially when it comes to security. We're not going to sit down and say that it's okay, that everything is fine, but I do know that the government is doing all it can to make sure that we turn the tide in terms of security. So yeah, like I said, when you look at all the indices and the intention of the government to take care of this problem and what it has done, there has never been any president in this country, no government that has given the security agencies the resources and the backing and the stability, so to speak, that this president has given them. Maybe as a result of his experience or his pedigree as a former military officer, but whatever it is, he has given them all he can. So what needs to be done is a lot more recruitment in terms of officers and men, both in the military, in the police, and other paramilitary agencies. And then we as citizens, joining hands and using local structures to be able to stem this tide of this very ugly trend. It's not something we're very happy about. It's not something that that we say does not concern us or that there's no problem. It is a major issue, but I know that everybody's hand is on deck to make sure that we turn this tide around. But like I said, when it comes to the issue of the party itself selling its manifesto or selling its ideas based on what it has done in the last 8 years, I think we can have an argument, we can make a case, and we can break it down and for people to see what is in there. So I'm absolutely confident that we will be able to make that case very well.
Well, I guess people will be waiting to see what sort of argument you're going to be making, especially with regards to your acknowledgement with security. And you say you don't want to compartmentalize the country. It's one country, and I think we all should see it that way. But we'll wait to see how you will react to how the opposition will raise that with you when eventually we get to either a debate or the campaigns proper. How do you intend to respond to what the opposition will certainly raise about security.
Well, you want me to get to the debate now alone?
Yes, because the APC certainly raised that against them in the 2015 elections.
Yes, why not? So let us wait till they raise that. Like I said, I've given you some of the statistics of I know for a fact how much the government has spent on security and how much encouragement and stability the president has been able to provide to the security agencies, all the security agencies.
You and I know
but like I said,
it's
not a switch. It's not something that you can just flick
yeah,
it out.
I was just going to say that
down.
you and I know that at the end of the day, what counts is results.
And we are going to get it. Be hopeful. You are Nigerian. I know what the military are doing, especially in the Northwest right now as we speak, in terms of flushing out the bandits. We have a dry season right now. From now to maybe April, they can move into the forest and they can do a lot of damage. But, you know, security is comprehensive. It's not just about boots on the grounds and fighting equipment. It has to be, the local community have to be involved. The economy has to be improved. There's a lot of advocacy that needs to be done, which it's all being tackled at different areas. And we also, as young people, we're trying to go out and tell people the need for them to get all their hands on deck to be able to stem this tide, because ultimately it's all our security we're talking about. So I can tell you for free that you will see the results. And by the time the debate comes, inshallah, it's going to have a very good result in terms of fighting insecurity.
Well, we'll see how things eventually pan out for the APC as they go into their convention in February. You've heard from him. He's a part of the organizing, the caretaker committee of the All Progressives Congress now. And this time he believes it's more definitive that the convention will hold in February. Well, thank you so much for coming on this morning. Ismail Ahmed, member of the APC BOT. Oh, never mind, BOT, the Board of Trustees. But let's just say national leader of the youth arm of the All Progressives Congress and also a member of the APC Caretaker Committee. Thank you once again for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sunrise City.